from the birthplace of radio's greatest era, live from New York, it's Radio Night Live with Kevin McCullough.
Wait, who?
Kevin McCullough, let me start with you.
Huh?
The big dog, Kevin McCullough.
Who?
And Kevin McCullough.
No, who?
Nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
Who? Kevin McCullough?
Kevin McCullough is a nationally syndicated radio host and author of No He Can't.
What?
Barack Obama's Dismantling Hope and Change and CEO of Extreme Media.
Oh.
So glad to have you with us. Hour number 2 just getting underway. And man, what a big hour. You just missed a big hour, a huge hour. If you missed John Solomon and Laura Reese and Dick Vermeil, the Hall of Fame coach, you've got to go back and get the podcast. It's available on Audible, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, anywhere you get your podcasts, Google Play. You go to your podcast, your favorite podcast place. You're going to be able to find Kevin McCullough Radio, Radio Night Live. Look for tonight's episode. You will get hour 1. You can get it. You get up to speed. But all the good things that all that indicates means we have another great hour ahead for you now, including another visit to the Music Spotlight stage with Vince Gill before the hour's out. That will be coming your way. And we've got KT McFarland back, who does a regular feature with us on national security and kind of global international, war concerns. And, of course, she's focused on Russia and Ukraine tonight. But the thing is, Putin met with several leaders over the last few days, and he comes out kind of like, I don't know, kicking the ground and kind of going, oh, terrible, why? And so what was he expecting with NATO countries? I'm not exactly sure. We'll get into that. But on the big board, as you already saw, Nicole Saphier will be here. She often helps me out with wellness nights on the weeknight show, and she's gonna bring us up to speed tonight on all the COVID mania and the stuff that's not been going the right way. We'll get to that. But I have to start this hour applauding once again the governor of the state of Florida and what he has done when no one else has stepped up. I don't know if you've been following, for those of you that are in the lower 48, I don't know if you've been following what Canada has been dealing with by way of this trucker strike. But it's real. This trucker strike is making an impact. In fact, it was so intense that Justin Trudeau felt like he had to get out of town. To which a New York doctor, Dr. Samadi here in Manhattan, very wittily put on Twitter, "Yes, I understand you've come down with a case of COVID, and it often feels like being hit by a truck." That was kind of tongue-in-cheek for, yeah, the truckers got to you. But here's the thing. Here in the United States, GoFundMe, which had allowed up to about 9, I've seen 9, I've seen 11, I don't know which it is, millions of dollars to be raised for the welfare of the truckers. GoFundMe decided to seize that money and say that they were going to randomly give it to other charities. Now, I don't know all the laws that govern everything that GoFundMe does, and I haven't read through the 45,500 pages worth of disclaimers that they make when you sign up for an account. But there's something about this that just reeks of wrongdoing. And I don't know if it's that they stole the money that was given. Yeah, GoFundMe, you're hearing me. I don't know if it's because you stole millions of dollars that were given for the truckers to be able to support and do what they need to do during this time that they have been trying to draw people's attention to the mask and vaccine uselessness. And they've been very successful, by the way, friends. In fact, there are only, I think, 7 of the United States anymore that still have their kids vaxxed. But in Canada, these truckers have just done an amazingly courageous thing. Anyway, long story short, GoFundMe, when they dipped into and decided to just take all those away, Governor DeSantis put out what's on your screen right now. It is fraud for GoFundMe to commandeer $9 million in donations sent to support truckers and to randomly give it to causes of their own choosing. And then Governor DeSantis says, I'm going to work with AG Moody to investigate these practices. These donors should be given a refund. Now, I don't know where the CEO of GoFundMe is on this evening as we're discussing this. Here's what I do know. They better do the right thing, because they are a very high-profile, publicly traded company that has a certain degree of confidence from the public that when someone does something with them, they're gonna be treated in the right way. Right now, they are doing the immoral, the abominable, the unforgivable, and they better pull it together. People are going to watch. I'll openly say, don't ever fundraise through GoFundMe again. I don't care what your cause is. It can't be that important that you've got to give it through that corrupt channel in order for it to get to the people that you're trying to help. Now, I don't have any problem putting them on blast tonight if we have to. So GoFundMe, listen very carefully. Review this process that you've gone through with the truckers. Check your heart. Do the right thing, because right now you're not. And you know it. And that makes you a lousy scoundrel. Sorry. That's the way it is. All right. So, one other thing I wanted to get to before we get to Nicole Saphier and KT McFarland tonight. Last week, Dinesh D'Souza, who, if you're watching us on the Salem News Channel tonight, you know that Dinesh D'Souza is with Salem Now. He's got his podcast there, his video podcast on a regular basis. People can watch it on demand. And by the way, if you're not getting us on Salem News Channel, you need to. If you've got Roku or Apple TV, you can either cue in the URL or download the app to the Apple TV, and you can watch us anytime, day or night. In fact, all of the Radio Night Live episodes are now on demand right there on the homepage. Just click on and go see whatever you missed. You can get that easy. And we're grateful because that gives us over the top coverage. And then Biz TV has our broadcast coverage all filled in across the rest of the country. The only place that we're not at right now is cable. But I hear that there may even be something in the works on that in the near future. So we'll see where all that goes. But anyway, Salem News Channel, Dinesh D'Souza, he is also a documentary filmmaker, an award-winning documentary filmmaker. And I want you to just have a taste of what his newest work is going to be centered on. Take a look at this.
The 2020 election was the most secure in U.S. history. There has been no evidence of widespread.
All right, so we're having trouble with the playback. Dinesh is actually narrating this video. The long and the short of it is this. In 2020, they have now gone back and with security camera footage at different Dropbox locations across the country, they have found that people were operating as mules. Now, what are mules? Well, along the border, mules are people that carry drugs in on their person so that they're undetected by Border Patrol when they come across in bodily cavities and any variety of other ways. That's how they get the drugs across. They are the personal carriers. In this particular documentary, they document more than 2,000 mules that frequented the drop boxes for election, one of them as many as 53 times, dropping random numbers of votes in. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to get one person, one vote. One person dropping 53 batches of ballots off at a drop box. This is why Wisconsin just ruled the drop boxes illegal. This is why Pennsylvania is coming back with greater restrictions on them. This is why other states have said, no, this is a bunch of hooey. We're not doing this. This new new film called 2,000 Mules by Dinesh D'Souza is actually going to document what happened in 2020 and how it ended up just in the 6 states that were all in question at the end of the election, how it ended up probably having an impact on the outcome of that. Now, does that mean that I think that we should go back and retry the election in 2020? No. The bowl of mashed potatoes known as Joe Biden, that's what his brain's made of, he is the president. He was certified by the electors. It doesn't matter. Once the electors certify the election, there is no more recourse. You don't go back and argue about vote counts at that point because those states individually said that's the certified total. But we're going to get a different count in 2022 and 2024 because these states are saying, no, this isn't legal. We didn't approve of this. And judges are now backing them up. And that's the good thing. So be on the lookout for Dinesh D'Souza's new film called 2,000 Mules. It'll be coming your way in the days to come. All right, Nicole Saphier's up. KT McFarland's on the way. And Vince Gill with a song about patriots who pay the ultimate price, all before we're done tonight on Radio Night Live. You don't want to miss this. In these troubling times, civil unrest, spiking crime rates, and restrictive gun laws put us all at risk. One feels unsafe just walking down the sidewalk. So what if there was a form of personal protection that did not require waiting periods, permits, or background checks? Small enough to carry concealed in a purse or a jacket, but powerful enough to stop an assailant. Introducing the Byrna HD, the non-lethal self-protection device that buys you valuable time in an unsafe situation. With a 5-round magazine, the Byrna HD fires the Byrna Max payload, a 68 caliber projectile loaded with pepper and tear gas irritant, disabling an assailant from being able to breathe freely or see clearly for up to several minutes. The CO2-powered launcher is accurate up to 60 feet. It's about the size of a 9mm and has a dual-handed safety valve. Ideal for men and women and safe for everyone, it's backed by a 60-day risk-free guarantee.
Go to Byrna.com/KMC for all the latest discounts and specials. That's BYRNA.com.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. You've heard us talk about the amazing offer that MyPillow is offering you right now, right? Only $34.99 a pillow. That's the lowest price ever offered on radio TV. When you get a 2-pack of MyPillow Premiums for only $69.98, ever since I've been sleeping on my MyPillow, I don't get interrupted sleep anymore. I don't have to worry about folding my pillow in half or stacking up a whole bunch of lifeless pillows underneath it to give me the right support. Comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty, and it's made in the USA. Do you have a pillow that comes with a 10-year warranty? Get a 2-pack of MyPillow Premiums for $69.98 right now. That's only $34.99 per pillow, which again is the lowest price ever offered on radio or TV. This offer is only available at MyPillow.com or when you call 800-506-2641. That's 800-506-2641. Promo code KMC. 800-506-2641. And use the promo code KMC. Hi, Kevin McCullough. You wouldn't dare build a house or a building of any kind without a blueprint, and you shouldn't invest your money without a plan either. My friends at Landmark Capital specialize in tailor-made portfolios for each customer called Your Financial Blueprint. Landmark Capital can show you how to diversify your portfolio and put some of it into physical precious metals, gold and silver, that help protect your portfolio in the ups and downs. And it also gives you the right to hold them in your IRA, in your possession, or your 401k. Taking physical possession today, it's 100% legal, and it's 100% doable right now. You probably have never seen this idea before, but you need to check it out. Get a free financial analysis called Your Financial Blueprint, and find out how to put precious metals in your hands tax deductible. Their process is easy. Call the Landmark team at 844-604-2575. That's 844-604-2575.
Balance of nature, changing the world one life at a time.
I'm very, very athletic. I play ice hockey 2 or 3 days a week. I'm in good shape for my age. I keep up with the young kids, but, I get tired. Muscles get sore. I'm achy. So I noticed just by taking this product for a month, I'm not as tired as I used to be or fatigued. Muscles feel good. I feel like my stamina is better than it was. I just feel better than I did, and I wasn't really complaining before.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code KMC.
from New York. Back to Radio Night Live. Here's Kevin McCullough.
Well, as promised, very excited on Wellness Night to welcome back a longtime favorite. In fact, on the weeknight edition of Radio Night Live, she is the OG, as we refer to her around here, helped us launch this idea of bringing people's wellness to the fore and by way of spoken word. Dr. Nicole Saphier, a longtime Fox News medical contributor, an expert in radiology and oncology. But her two books have been about the health of America and what really they need to understand from a science standpoint and not just a media or a talking head standpoint. And if you follow her on Twitter, you get a lot of this even on the current issues as they come out each day. Nicole, always a pleasure to have you with us. Thanks for coming back.
Thanks so much for having me, Kevin. I love being on for Wellness Night.
It's a lot of fun. Let me ask about this piece that you quoted your colleague, Dr. Marty McCary, who's no stranger to this show either. But he said the following: "We know public health officials like Dr. Rochelle Walensky and Dr. Fauci won't be doing any apologizing, but maybe there's a chance large employers will do the right thing." He's talking about the basic reversal since the OSHA decision in the Supreme Court on nearly everything that we were told had to be done and had to be done for our benefit. Does anyone believe that there is a chance that these employers that kind of took this line and parroted the narrative coming down from people like Walensky and Fauci, are everyday workers going to get that apology?
Do I think that workers are going to get the apology? Absolutely not. I mean, but I can tell you we've already started to see companies drop their mandates, and we've also seen companies have begun rehiring people that they fired because of the mandates. So I think that's probably the closest thing that we're going to get to a quote-unquote apology, is just an acceptance of the fact that these mandates are widely unnecessary as it comes to the private sector, especially as we have moved forward with vaccines, seeing that the efficacy to prevent infection and transmission has waned over time, and now as we have a more milder variant circulating.
Well, and this is really remarkable because it's been a number of weeks since I remember it being as quiet as it is right now, Nicole, about infections, hospitalizations, deaths. My bride and I were coming back from school drop-off just this week, and I said to her, have you heard a story? Have you seen a major headline in the last 24, 48, 72 hours? And she couldn't think of one, and neither could I. What does that tell us about where we're at right now?
Well, listen, Kevin, first of all, we have to acknowledge there are still people hospitalized with COVID, and there are still people dying from COVID every single day. We are far from being in a state where no one's going to be affected by COVID. I can tell you that the media narrative is shifting, and instead of the panic-inciting anecdotal stories of someone who's hospitalized or a rare side effect or something along those lines, I think that you are starting to see a more pragmatic approach. And while there have been certain outlets and pundits like myself and my colleague, Dr. Marty McCary, who have been talking about some of these things for a long time, that we're going to get to a state where this virus is endemic and we have to learn to live with it, I think you are finally starting to see some other places in the media acknowledge that and accept that, as we have now seen Omicron that has just become so transmissible, so contagious, that there's no way that we're going to stop it. And the White House has finally have to acknowledge that they are not going to be able to get to zero COVID. That has not been realistic for a very long time, but unfortunately, the CDC and the White House have just refused to acknowledge it. But here we are, and they're finally catching up.
Well, and you wonder if it's, completely altruistic or if it's out of necessity, because this is an election year. And when you ran on the pledge to destroy the virus, and you're, at your midterms now, from a pragmatic, practical standpoint, you've got to start doing something with that messaging. But to your first point there, let me go back and ask you, your specialty is cancer, and you see patients every day, and you make diagnoses, and you have to break news every day to people that don't want to hear it. It has touched my life in irreparable ways. What do we know about where the other big health challenges that Americans face, heart disease, cancer, these types of things. Where in the pecking order is COVID at this point, and how does it compare to some of the other genuinely health-based issues that Americans deal with?
Well, Americans are not one size fits all. And really what we do is we break down medical risk factors is how they pertain to age. Now, for Americans age 70 and older, COVID is still highly prevalent amongst those who are being hospitalized and dying. So that is one of, I'm not going to say the leading risk factor for death, because those over than 70 also have other comorbidities, heart disease, lung disease, kidney disease, multiple cancers, and so forth.
Right.
But if you start looking at our younger population, specifically adolescents and young adults, COVID is nowhere near their top risk factors for death. But what we have seen as an increase over the last couple of years are mental health disorders, suicide, overdoses, as well as obesity. We have an obesity epidemic amongst our younger populations right now. And as we know, obesity increases the risk of severe COVID. So it is this vicious cycle that we are in. And unfortunately, while people have been so focused on COVID, they are not doing things to make sure that they catch disease early on. They're not getting their routine cancer screenings. They're not going to their primary care doctors to check their cholesterol and their blood pressure and everything else. And so we just need to move away from being hyper-focused on one single entity, which at this point, between the vaccines, the boosters, the treatments, natural immunity, it is not going to be a high risk factor for the far majority of Americans. But what we do need to focus on is making America healthy again and getting back to the point where we are doing everything we can to make sure that we maximize our physical and mental health. And with that comes from focusing less on COVID and more on other things.
No, that's so well said. And you know, it strikes me odd, Nicole, Dr. Nicole Saphier is our guest. It strikes me that for all of the discussion that we had about vaccines, masks, washing hands, and social distancing, which we could repeat ad nauseum in our sleep backwards in Chinese if we had to, no pun intended. But literally, we've been inundated with that discussion in the public framework for the last 2 years nonstop, as though there was nothing else to this. And for the connection between obesity and the dangers of COVID, I felt like, man, we should have at some point said, hey, there are some other things that we need to be wise and healthy about as well. And if you can get in shape and lose some weight and work on your blood sugar and heart condition and other things over this course of time, I think, what an opportunity we missed there. We're going to break, coming right back. One more segment with Dr. Nicole Saphier, the OG, here on Wellness Night. Kevin McCullough, Radio Night Live.
Can the daily recommended servings of fruits and vegetables fit into just 6 capsules? Yes. We start by sourcing organically grown whole fruits and vegetables. We ensure they are picked at peak ripeness. All of our produce is third-party tested for pesticides, heavy metals, bad bacteria, and nutrients. They are then washed, cut, and put through an advanced vacuum cold process which removes the water using pressure. This maximizes the nutritional value while preserving the color, smell, and taste of the fruit or vegetable. The freeze-dried food is then ground into a fine powder without adding any additives, fillers, or extracts. These powdered foods are then mixed in our proprietary blends and encapsulated, locking out air and moisture. The capsules are then bottled and shipped directly to our customers. See how being full of fruits and veggies will help you live life to the fullest.
Coming to theaters January 21st, Redeeming Love.
Hop on one of those ships and sail away.
Why don't you think about where we would go?
Far.
I was just thinking about my mother. Shattered.
You are not here.
What's your pleasure, mister?
The truth is, I didn't come here for that.
You have been broken, your innocence.
Redeeming Love, based on the best-selling novel by Francine Rivers.
That's Angel, finest girl west of the Rockies.
A life-changing story of the power of relentless love and perseverance. Redeeming Love shows there is no brokenness love can't heal.
That way is home. Your choice.
Redeeming Love. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters January 21st. Go to redeeminglovemovie.com.
Brand new from beloved author Ivan Quinones comes a new children's book, Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab. Available now in paperback or Kindle from the Amazon Marketplace. One satisfied parent said, "The story is quite intriguing. The way it develops leaves you waiting for the next adventure. Magnificent Ian is such a fun book. I would highly recommend it for children grades 2 through 5. Another said, "I barely got the book out of the package and my son immediately grabbed it and ran off to read it." In Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab, Ian finds a secret lab in the middle of an active volcanic island, run by a crazy scientist who tasks him with widening a secret tunnel. There's suspense, action, adventure, and a lesson about integrity. Available now on the Amazon Marketplace and the Amazon Kindle store. Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab from author Ivan Quinones in paperback and Kindle form. Get your copy today. Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab.
In these troubling times, civil unrest, spiking crime rates, and restrictive gun laws put us all at risk. One feels unsafe just walking down the sidewalk. So what if there was a form of personal protection that did not require waiting periods, permits, or background checks? Small enough to carry concealed in a purse or a jacket, but powerful enough to stop an assailant. Introducing the Byrna HD, the non-lethal self-protection device that buys you valuable time in an unsafe situation. With a 5-round magazine, the Byrna HD fires the Byrna Max payload, a 68 caliber projectile loaded with pepper and tear gas irritant, disabling an assailant from being able to breathe freely or see clearly for up to several minutes. The CO2-powered launcher is accurate up to 60 feet. It's about the size of a 9mm and has a dual-handed safety valve. Ideal for men and women and safe for everyone, it's backed by a 60-day risk-free guarantee.
Go to Byrna.com/KMC for all the latest discounts and specials. That's BYRNA.com.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I haven't heard any negative feedback from any of my patients who have been taking the product. I look at Balance of Nature and I look what it's doing for me as I've started taking it, and for the patients that I have that are taking it, it's been phenomenal.
In my practice, I was getting to the point where I couldn't have the strength to see that many patients anymore, and I was introduced to the fruits and veggies. Just slowly, my strength started to come back, and it was because of the good nutrition. I can't say enough good for Balance of Nature and what it's done for me. I recommend it to everybody.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and use discount code KMC.
Back to Radio Night Live. Here's Kevin McCullough.
Nicole, thanks again for the time. Let me shift gears a little bit. Children in the immediate future of COVID, mask debates. I know that you're a New Jersey girl. It seems like in your state, Governor Murphy he wants to keep kids masked, but I think that school districts, district by district, are starting to come to the realization that maybe that's not the way forward. What would your advice if the governor's office called you today and said, Dr. Saphier, we need an expert opinion. Where do we go with our public mask regulation?
Kevin, I've been calling to remove masks from children for over a year now, so I can only get so loud. But, if Governor Murphy were to call me, I would tell him that the utility of masks, especially as they pertain to children and in schools, is completely fraught. The risk completely outweighs the benefit at this point. CDC data early in the summer showed about 40% of children in school age group had already been exposed to SARS-CoV-2, meaning they had some level of immunity. Then we've got through the Delta wave. Then we've gone through the Omicron wave. It is likely about 70 to 80% of all school-age children have some level of natural immunity, not to mention millions have already received vaccines. So at this point, you have over, rough estimate, 80% of this population with some level of immunity, and not to mention they are already the lowest risk population when it comes to COVID-19. We need to be removing the mask. There is not one single study that demonstrates the effectiveness of masks alone showing a clinical benefit in reducing transmission and saving lives. But what we have seen over and over again, that there are severe risks associated with this in terms of socio-emotional development, in terms of dental health, skin health, and other things.
Wow.
You still have children wearing masks outside, which makes no sense. Look at Governor Newsom. He goes to a football game and he can take off his mask. He's vaccinated. Well, some of these kids are vaccinated. Some of these kids have natural immunity. Why can't they take off their masks? Oh, because it makes for good optics, and politicians cater to the teachers' unions. And for whatever reason, the teachers' unions continue to fight to have masks on these children, despite being zero evidence demonstrating benefit outweighs the risk.
Yeah. Well, and that's the schools in New Jersey that we're talking about specifically, but even to go to dinner or to the theater or anything in the actual city, I mean, my bride and I had planned on doing some things around the holidays, maybe the Nutcracker, maybe the Radio City Music Hall show and stuff like that. And when de Blasio put that requirement in, and then Adams didn't lift it, it just kind of like stole the thunder. And it's like we didn't feel like that was what we wanted to do to experience it this year. And I hope that it's coming off soon. Let me ask you a tougher one, because I think states and cities and people are struggling with this one. We saw a European country take off their recommendation. I think it was Sweden or one of the Scandinavian countries this last week that said they're no longer recommending the 5 to 11-year-old vaccination process. Do we know enough about the kids' vaccines here that they should be mandated? Should it be the doctor and the parent making the decision for the child? Where do you fall on the child vaccine and the requirement or not to thereof?
So this week, Sweden announced that they're not recommending vaccines in younger children, but they're not alone in that. And if you look throughout the European Union and many other countries, you see that the vaccine recommendations are not as black and white as we see in the United States. The United States, whatever Pfizer says, seems to be made into policy. It make no matter of what the data shows or where we are in the country. But I can tell you that when it comes to, again, healthy young children, and you have to separate healthy young children from children who have medical comorbidities.
Yeah.
Because there's a stronger argument to vaccinate children with medical comorbidities because they are at higher risk. And of course, you want to do anything you possibly can to decrease their risk of severe illness. But when we are talking about healthy young children, the argument to vaccinate them falls flat as Omicron has rendered these vaccines nearly unable to prevent infection and transmission. The initial argument to vaccinate this low-risk population was to help cut transmission and really get us to a place in the country where we weren't seeing such high transmission. Well, the vaccines aren't doing that anymore. The purpose of the vaccine at this point is to decrease someone's risk of severe infection. When you're talking about this lowest risk population, do they really need to cut that nearly zero risk of death even lower? That's where the conversation between the parent, the child, and their pediatrician needs to take place. In no way, shape, or form should vaccines be mandated universally in this age group. I think it is a complete disgusting overreach what Mayor de Blasio did in terms of the vaccine mandates for children being able to experience New York City. All you're going to see are New York City private businesses hurting from this because people are not going to go. And you're also going to see a rise in fraud because people are going to still be able to do the things that they want to do, and they're going to figure out ways to do it. Same as we saw initially when the vaccines came out.
Nicole, always so grateful. Thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
You got it.
Coming to theaters January 21st, Redeeming Love.
Hop on one of those ships and sail away.
Why don't you think about where we would go?
Far.
I was just thinking about my mother. Shattered.
You are not here. What's your pleasure, mister?
The truth is, I didn't come here for that.
You have been broken, your innocence.
Redeeming Love, based on the best-selling novel by Francine Rivers.
That's Angel. finest girl west of the Rockies.
A life-changing story of the power of relentless love and perseverance. Redeeming Love shows there is no brokenness love can't heal.
That way is home. Your choice.
Redeeming Love. Rated PG-13. May be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters January 21st. Go to redeeminglovemovie.com.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. You've heard us talk about the amazing offer that MyPillow is offering you right now, right? Only $34.99 a pillow. That's the lowest price ever offered on radio TV. When you get a 2-pack of MyPillow Premiums for only $69.98, ever since I've been sleeping on my MyPillow, I don't get interrupted sleep anymore. I don't have to worry about folding my pillow in half or stacking up a whole bunch of lifeless pillows underneath it to give me the right support. Comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty, and it's made in the USA. Do you have a pillow that comes with a 10-year warranty? Get a 2-pack of MyPillow Premiums for $69.98 right now. That's only $34.99 per pillow, which again is the lowest price ever offered on radio or TV. This offer is only available at MyPillow.com or when you call 800-506-2641. That's 800-506-2641. Promo code KMC. 800-506-2641. And use the promo code KMC.
Brand new from beloved author Ivan Quinones comes a new children's book, Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab. Available now in paperback or Kindle from the Amazon Marketplace. One satisfied parent said, "The story is quite intriguing. The way it develops leaves you waiting for the next adventure. Magnificent Ian is such a fun book. I would highly recommend it for children grades 2 through 5. Another said, "I barely got the book out of the package and my son immediately grabbed it and ran off to read it." In Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab, Ian finds a secret lab in the middle of an active volcanic island, run by a crazy scientist who tasks him with widening a secret tunnel. There's suspense, action, adventure, and a lesson about integrity. Available now on the Amazon Marketplace and the Amazon Kindle store. Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab from author Ivan Quinones in paperback and Kindle form. Get your copy today. Magnificent Ian and the Secret Lab.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I ended up getting a cold after Thanksgiving. And usually it always goes to my chest. Not even a usually, it just always goes to my chest. And I end up having to go to the doctor. This time I took 9 of the Balance of Nature for 2 days, and it totally cleared up. I was very impressed because every time I've gotten a cold for the past 5 years, it goes into my chest. And it didn't. It cleared up right away.
Don't wait to see what getting over 10 servings of whole fruits and vegetables every day can do for you. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order of fruits and veggies. Start your journey to better health today by calling 1-800-2468-751 or by going to balanceofnature.com and make sure to receive this special radio offer by using discount code KMC.
Everybody loves my baby, but my baby don't like nobody but me. No one but me.
And now, back to Radio Night Live. Once again,
That's right. KT McFarland, glad to have her back in the new year, because when we're talking about things like I just opened the show with on Putin's latest little temper tantrum. Oh, I met with Hungary and he didn't give me everything I wanted, so all of NATO's not listening to me. Well, they may not be, or they may be sending the message that they're not listening. And maybe that's what they need to do. But my next guest says that a year from now, the whole world could look very different, all because of this crisis. Her name is KT McFarland, the aforementioned. The Briefing is the podcast if you ever missed the live segment, and I hope you'll go and check that out. KT, always a pleasure to welcome you. Talk to me about where we're at in the crisis, and then let's get into the premise of your article, or the tweet that you sent out, which would indicate that the world may indeed look very different beyond this point. But where do you sense we are with what your best guess is that Putin's wanting to do, how the West is responding or kind of anemically not responding, or maybe they're responding fine, I don't know. But where are we in that process?
Well, Putin has spent 30 years trying to get back Greater Russia. And he's very carefully and painstakingly done the steps to do it. So one of the main sort of arrows in his quiver is energy dependence of Europe onto Russian energy. So Russia has, when the United States, especially after the United States, President Biden canceled the Keystone Pipeline, tried to shut down American shale oil and shale gas industries, and cut back on our exports of both. The Europeans are completely dependent now on the Russians for energy. And as a result, not only does that give Russia a lot of blackmail, to tell the Europeans, you do what I want or else, but it also has made Russia rich again, because as we've shut down our energy industry, the prices of natural gas and oil have skyrocketed. So all of a sudden, Putin's rich, and he's got political leverage that he never imagined he would have. And he wants to get back Ukraine into Russian territory, in part in taking its orders from Moscow. So he's now got a whole range of options, and he can pick and choose what he wants to do. I don't even think he's decided what he wants to do. At a minimum, he could just pocket what he has and say, okay, military exercise is over, and shown the world that Ukraine is not ever going to be a member of NATO. Even if people don't announce that, it's not going to happen. Number two, he could force a coup. He could have some false flag operations on the Russian-Ukrainian border where he could send in minor forces to, say, into a certain area and say, well, look, my responsibility is to protect ethnic Russians wherever in the world they are, including if they're inside the Ukrainian border. Or he could go all the way and have a full-scale invasion. I don't think he's going to risk a full-scale invasion just because the Ukrainians will probably fight back, and it would be messy and it could be protracted. I think he goes for that middle option, which is to force a coup, not today, but over the next several weeks and months, force a coup in Ukraine so that Ukraine then replaces the current president who wants more relations with the West with a pro-Russian president. That's what they did, and that's what he did in Kazakhstan, what he's done in Belarus, and I think he's going to do the same thing in Ukraine. So even if there's not a Russian flag flying over the president's house in Kiev, I think that he wants them to take their orders from Moscow.
Now, he's complaining today that the West has not heard his, quote, security concerns. What exactly, I don't think of Russia as being a terribly insecure place. What are the security concerns that the West is supposedly ignoring, and is it the right thing for the West to ignore them?
He's talked about this for a long time, and I don't know because I wasn't in government at the time in the Clinton administration, but his argument is that when the Soviet Union collapsed in the George H.W. Bush administration, and then when the NATO expanded and got a lot of those former Soviet Union countries, Poland, right, Hungary, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, all those countries into NATO, he said, well, that broke an agreement that Russia, the Soviet Union, went along with German unification and the collapse of the Soviet Union with the understanding that NATO would never move east. And his argument today is, wait, you Americans, you broke your promise. You did include all of those countries into NATO, and you are now even flirting with the idea of having Ukraine be a member of NATO. And I want that rolled back. Now, the question you might naturally ask is, why now? I mean, that's been the case for a while. Why would Putin want this crisis right now? I think because of what I said in the beginning. He's lined his ducks up. Yeah. He's rich. He's got the Germans completely dependent upon Russian energy, and he's got a very weak American president.
A weak American president who helps rubber stamp that pipeline to Germany, yes, and simultaneously cut ours off. Katie, I don't know what the technical definition of treason or undermining America or treachery or any of those things are, but could we have an administration that is acted in poorer interests of its own country than the one we've had for the last 13 months?
I just think they're just in a bubble, and they're listening to, and whether it's on national security issues or crime or safety or defund the police or the economy or the southern border, they're just listening to the loony left. And that's who's calling the shots. And the media, other than people like you, Kevin, the media is, for the most part, they're not covering Joe Biden. They're covering up for Joe Biden. And so the media really are not showing these unbelievable failures of policy. They're covering them up. But the good news is that the American people, they get it. Even if they're not seeing what's happening on the evening news, they know that their cities aren't safe. They know that there's inflation when they go to the grocery store. They know that the United States is being kicked around. They see that there are illegal immigrants in their communities, stressing the social services networks. And I think they're going to do what American voters have historically always done when they think the bums in Washington are not representing the interests of the people, but only the interests of the bums in Washington. And then I think we'll have major electoral changes this November and then also in 2024.
I am concerned. I am less concerned than I was after the election in 2020 because a few states have stepped up and changed their voting procedures. And in fact, in Wisconsin, I think the courts there said that all the voting changes that they made during COVID were completely unconstitutional, according to that state. But it does concern me the length of time we have yet to go before that Congress gets seated, KT. And there's basically no check on the people that are there, and whether they're just, befuddled, bubble-based, bungling idiots, or whether they're doing stuff intentionally to hurt us. The net effect is our standing is quickly slipping, and I think that is danger for America. KT McFarland, always appreciate your insights. Thank you for sharing them with us today.
Pleasure and an honor, Kevin.
All right. Kevin McCullough, again, if you missed any of it, go get the podcast. It's called The Briefing with KT, and we're coming right back.
In these troubling times, civil unrest, spiking crime rates, and restrictive gun laws put us all at risk. One feels unsafe just walking down the sidewalk. So what if there was a form of personal protection that did not require waiting periods, permits, or background checks? Small enough to carry concealed in a purse or a jacket, but powerful enough to stop an assailant. Introducing the Byrna HD, the non-lethal self-protection device that buys you valuable time in an unsafe situation. With a 5-round magazine, the Byrna HD fires the Byrna Max payload, a 68 caliber projectile loaded with pepper and tear gas irritant, disabling an assailant from being able to breathe freely or see clearly for up to several minutes. The CO2-powered launcher is accurate up to 60 feet. It's about the size of a 9mm and has a dual-handed safety valve. Ideal for men and women and safe for everyone, it's backed by a 60-day risk-free guarantee.
Go to Byrna.com/KMC for all the latest discounts and specials. That's BYRNA.com.
Hi, Kevin McCullough. You've heard us talk about the amazing offer that MyPillow is offering you right now, right? Only $34.99 a pillow. That's the lowest price ever offered on radio TV. When you get a 2-pack of MyPillow Premiums for only $69.98, ever since I've been sleeping on my MyPillow, I don't get interrupted sleep anymore. I don't have to worry about folding my pillow in half or stacking up a whole bunch of lifeless pillows underneath it to give me the right support. Comes with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty, and it's made in the USA. Do you have a pillow that comes with a 10-year warranty? Get a 2-pack of MyPillow Premiums for $69.98 right now. That's only $34.99 per pillow, which again is the lowest price ever offered on radio or TV. This offer is only available at MyPillow.com or when you call 800-506-2641. That's 800-506-2641. Promo code KMC. 800-506-2641. And use the promo code KMC. Hi, Kevin McCullough. You wouldn't dare build a house or a building of any kind without a blueprint, and you shouldn't invest your money without a plan either. My friends at Landmark Capital specialize in tailor-made portfolios for each customer called Your Financial Blueprint. Landmark Capital can show you how to diversify your portfolio and put some of it into physical precious metals, gold and silver, that help protect your portfolio in the ups and downs. And it also gives you the right to hold them in your IRA, in your possession, or your 401k. Taking physical possession today, it's 100% legal, and it's 100% doable right now. You probably have never seen this idea before, but you need to check it out. Get a free financial analysis called Your Financial Blueprint, and find out how to put precious metals in your hands tax deductible. Their process is easy. Call the Landmark team at 844-604-2575. That's 844-604-2575. Or
once again, from New York, here's Radio Night Live and Kevin McCullough.
Once again to the music spotlight stage we go. Vince Gill, and a very moving tribute to those who have paid the ultimate price to love America.
I know your life on earth was trouble. Only you could know the pain. You weren't afraid to face the devil. You were no stranger to sung your word on earth is done. Go to heaven a shouting love for the Father and the Son. Oh, how we cried the day you left us. Gathered round your grave to grieve. Wish I could see the angels' faces when they hear your sweet voice sing. Go rest high on that mountain. Sung your work on earth is done. Go to heaven a shouting love for the Father and the Son. You're safely home in the arms of Jesus. Eternal life, my brothers found. The day will come, I know I'll see him. That sacred place on that holy ground. Go rest high on that mountain. Sung your work on earth is done. Go to heaven a shouting love for the Father and the Son. Go to heaven a shouting love for the Father and the Son.
The music of Vince Gill rounding out Radio Night Live. I'm Kevin McCullough. We'll see you next Saturday.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
I'm very, very athletic. I play ice hockey 2 or 3 days a week. I'm in good shape for my age. I keep up with the young kids, but, I get tired. Muscles get sore. I'm achy. So I noticed just by taking this product for a month, I'm not a